ever since I've known Hoodbhoy, I think I met him in 1978 or something, so I've known him for a long, long time. He's been basically the same. The book was, I mean, it was fun, it was interesting, and there were a lot of good points he made. I loved it when he attacked the miracles people at the end, miracles of the Quran people. But he twisted things terribly. I think he's done a terrible disservice by not being an honest broker when it comes to history. He's said things which are patently untrue. I've actually emailed him several times, and he basically doesn't care. So, I have my problems with that.
I agree with Professor Hoodbhoy that one needs a space for science in Islam. There has to be a distinction between metaphysics and everything else. That's certainly true. I also absolutely agree that the state of rationalist sciences in the Islamic tradition, generally speaking, with the exception of some places, is pretty deplorable. One, for example, study of formal logic and mathematics and so on and so forth, and physics is in a terrible state. And I also agree that something needs to be done about all of that. So we're on the same page on these matters, and I want to be very explicit about this point. I'm in complete agreement. I'm afraid that, and I say this with all due respect, for the rest, practically everything else that was said, other than anecdotes, I completely disagree. And I disagree on the basis of my investigation of texts. For example, and I'm not going to get into a lot of these things because I have a different lecture prepared, but I have to make some comments to set the stage. To begin with, the idea that that Muslims anticipate science in the Quran is something that is unique, is problematic. If you go and type Bible and science on the internet, you'll find the same stuff. Except that, of course, in the Muslim case, it is true that the numbers are much greater. So it's a phenomenon that's actually global. It's an issue of the percentages that's different. The narrative that we were told about the Golden Age and the post-classical period, I'm afraid, is entirely wrong. And I'm going to get into detail. Some of them will be technical because I want to show evidence. The theory of what science is and what the scientific method is, I'm afraid, is also deeply problematic. The use of categories like seminaries and clerics and mullahs and so on is specific to the Catholic tradition. They presuppose certain hierarchies of the church, certain actions of the church, such as having edicts and councils. This is something that does not apply to the Islamic tradition. We cannot use these conceptual categories to talk about Islam. The idea that the denial of causality will destroy science is also problematic because the Muslim tradition actually says, the mainstream Sunni tradition says, that there is certainly no causality, but there is something called secondary causality. In other words, it's a domino effect that you can accept. The other thing they say is that even though God is interfering in the world, he does it according to a habit. And all you need for science is regularity. The commitment that there is a cause and effect relationship does nothing for your scientific enterprise. As long as you assume that there's a regularity in nature, it may be God intervening, or it may be, something immediately effecting a change. It's a commitment. It's a metaphysical commitment to say something is causal. In fact, here's a quick demonstration. I'm going to take this pen, I'm going to throw it. Did anybody see causality there? No, what you saw is concomitance of a certain action and another action. So what we have here, and this is, by the way, not me talking, this is actually certain critiques of modern philosophy of science, including David Hume, whom I will mention along the way. So what we have here are a lot of problems. I don't want to get deep into it because we'll have a question and answer session. And I do say all of these because I have met Professor Hoodbhoy this morning, and I consider us to be friends, and this is a frank discussion, and the subject is very important. If we have a misunderstanding of what really happened and what the concepts of science are and what the categories are, then we're not going to solve a problem which is real. The problem is real. There is a deplorable state of rationalism in the Islamic tradition today, and we have to fix it somehow.